We're on lesson 4-3, which is solve comparison problems using multiplication. So what we've been working on before is our modeling and what do those represent. Now, if you'll remember in class, we talked about how the book really likes to say represents the unknown and use that question mark. We are pretty smart fourth graders, so we're going to be using M or C or other letters for variables. And remember, variable is just an unknown. It's just like that question mark. But this is what we're going to see in fifth grade and later on, especially when we get to middle school and high school. So we're just going to get started used to that variable part. All right, let's get started. Just a reminder, when we see as times as many or times as much, those are almost always going to imply, let's say, a multiplicative comparison problem. So let's begin with our work together. Ty has 32 coins in his collection. Dan has 8 coins in his collection. How many times as many coins does Ty have than Dan? Use a bar diagram or a tape diagram and an equation to represent and solve the problem. So remember, equation comes from the word equal, so we need to have that equal sign. So first what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make my bar diagram. So here's Ty, and Ty has 32. And then here's Dan, and Dan only has 8. So basically, we recognize that Ty has more, and we need to see how many times more does he have. Well, we have 8, and then you have another group of 8 for 16, another group of 8 for 24, and another group of 8 for 32. So that's how many times as many? Well, that is 8 times 4. So this is what our problem is. We have 32, which is what Ty starts with, and then we have how many times is more. That's our blank. So that's going to be our variable. So we're going to put C for coins times 8. And so what does C equal? Well, we see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. So that means C equals 4. He has 4 times as many. Now let's head to our next page for our on your own part. So our directions are, what is the unknown number? Write a multiplication equation to represent the comparison, then solve the equation. So it's not just telling us what the answer is, but we need to write that equation as well. So our first part, we have 58 is, remember is always means that equal sign, C or whatever variable we want times as much as 7. So we have 56 equals C times 7. Well, what does C equal? Well, if we know our multiplication facts, we know 8 times 7 equals 56. We'll show you on the next one how to solve it if you don't know your multiplication facts as well as you should. Our next one, we have 35 is 7 times as much as C, that variable. Again, you can pick any letter. We're just using C since that's what we had in the last one. 35 is 7 times as much as C. Well, what does C equal? Well, I'm making equal groups of 7 since I'm multiplying, but if I don't know my multiplication facts, we can just make our multiplication chart. 7 plus 7 is 14, plus 7 is 21, plus 7 is 28, plus 7 is 35. And then notice, look, that's what we have right here, 35 and 35. So how many groups is that? Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means C equals 5. We would need 7 or 5 groups of 7 to make that. Our next one, 28 is 8 times as many as C, that variable. So we have 28 is 8 times as many as C, 8 times C. So what does that variable equal? Well, if I know my multiplication facts, I know 8 times 3 equals 24. And our last one for this section, 45 is C times as much as 9. So we have 45 is C times 9. Again, if I don't know my multiplication facts, I just make my list of 9 facts until I get to it. 9 plus 9 is 18, plus another 9 is 27, plus another 9 is 36, plus another 9 is 45. So how many groups of 9 is that? Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So C equals 5. Now let's head to our word problems. How can you represent the problem? Draw a bar diagram or a tape diagram and write a multiplication equation to solve. Marie read 20 pages of a book last week. So let's label this. This is last week, L for last week, and it says she read 20. She read 2 times as many pages this week as she did last week. So this week, T for this week, she read 2 times as many. So she read 1 time as many, 2 times as many. So we have 2 boxes. How many pages did she read this week? Well, she read 40, 20 plus 20. Now, if that's all you have, your answer is incorrect because remember, ask for your equation. So we have 2 times 20 equals 40. So there's our equation. Number 6, a tomato plant is 48 inches tall. So let's do T for tomato and draw a box. Is 48 inches tall. How many times, so that how many times is like my variable, let's see, as tall as the tomato plant as a pepper plant that is 8 inches tall. So it's telling me my pepper plant is 8 inches tall. So it's going to be smaller. And so now we're trying to figure out, well, what would this look like? How many groups of 8 do we need to get to 48? So we would need 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, and then 48. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we would need 6. So how are we writing that equation? Well, we'd have 6 times 8 equals 48. We could have also started with our variable, our mystery number, C times 8 equals 48 as well. Number 7, Dana saved 63. So let's start with that tape diagram or bar diagram. There's 63. Dana saved 7 times as much as Julie. So that means Julie saved less, and she saved 7 times as much. So this part's, our model is going to be slightly different than the one above because this time is telling us how many groups we have. We have 7 times. We have 7 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. But the problem is we don't know how big each group is. So this time, this is where our variable would come in. We're going to put S for saved. So we're actually trying to figure out what this looks like. So we would have 63 equals 7 times S. And what does S equal? Well, if I know my facts, I know 9 times 7 equals 63. So our equation would be 63 equals 7 times 9. Let's go to our next page. And our next one.
Huh?
Okay. Our next one is number 8. Wilani has 12 nickels. Wilani has 6 times as many nickels as Brenda. What is the value of all the coins Wilani and Brenda have? So Wilani has 12 nickels. Let's start with our model. And she has 12 of them. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, our problem is it's not asking how many nickels we have. It's asking what's the value. So we're going to have to keep that in mind. Our next one is Wilani has 6 times as many nickels as Brenda. So Wilani has more. So we have 6 times as many. So it's kind of asking us to figure this out. 12 equals 6 times n for number of nickels. So she only has 2. N equals 2. But that's not all it's asking for. It says, what is the value? So how much is nickel worth? Well, nickel's worth 5. So Brenda has 10 cents. And Wilani has 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. She has 60 cents. We could have also done 12 times 5 to get 60 as well. So how much do they have? Well, Brenda has 10. Wilani has 60. So 60 plus 10, they have 70 cents. And explain your reasoning. We would put Brenda has 2 nickels, which has a value of 10 cents. Wilani has 60 cents. So 60 plus 10 is 70 cents. Number 9. Perry has 5 times as many minutes as Luis. How many minutes could Perry and Lois have run? Explain your answer. So it actually is not even telling us all the information we need. So this one's actually a critical think one. All we know is Perry has 5 times as many. So we have Perry and our other person. And Perry has 5 times as many. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We don't know how many he has, but we do know Perry has 5 times as many. Now here's our tricky part. It says how many minutes could Perry have run? That means there's more than one answer. So we could have said Perry ran 5 minutes, and then Lois only ran 1 minute. So together, we'd have 5 and 6. It could have also been something different. We could have said, well, maybe Perry ran 4 minutes for each section, and then Lewis only ran 4 minutes total. So what would it be this time? Well, this person ran 4 minutes, and then Perry ran 4 times 5 for 20 minutes. So notice this one, since it didn't tell us exactly, there's actually many different answers. We could have even changed and said, well, he ran 40 minutes, which means this person ran 40 times 5 for 200 minutes. So this one, there's many different answers as long as this person ran 5 times more. Number 10, a welder used 4 meters of metal rod last week. So let's put this is L for last week, and he used 4. 32 meters of a metal rod this week, T for this week. That whole thing is 32. How many times as many meters of metal rod did the welder use this week compared to last week? Write an equation to represent and show the word problem. So we had 32 is our total, and then we're looking for how many times as many. So that's our mystery one. So I'm going to put M for metal times 4. So what would that be? Well, if I'm not sure, if I don't know my facts, I can break this up into 4s until I get to 32. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and then 32. So how many groups is that? That'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, it's much easier if I just know my facts that 8 times 4 is 32. There's my equation. Our next one, number 11. There are 12 birds in an apple tree. This is 4 times as many birds as there are on the cherry tree. How many birds are in the cherry tree? Well, let's do A for apple for our bar diagram. It says there are 12 birds. So this whole thing is 12. It says this is 4 times as many birds as there are on the cherry tree. So 4 times as many means there's 4 boxes. It's broken up into 4. So how big would one box be? Well, 12 equals 4 times our mystery. I'm going to put B for birds. So this would have to be 3. Each box equals 3. 3, 6, 9, 12. So in our cherry tree, there are only 3 birds. Number 12. Vela practiced piano 12 hours last week. Vela practiced 4 times as long as Mariana. Rianne practiced 2 times as long as Marianne. How much time does Velma practice compared to the time Rian practiced? Explain your reasoning. So I have about 3 different things going on. So I have 3 different people. So I'm going to make my model just so I understand what's going on. Vela practiced 12 hours. And then it says Vela practiced 4 times as long as Mariana. So that means we have 4 times, so we break it up into 4 boxes. And 1 box represents Mariana. So how big would that be? That would be 12 equals 4 times our mystery. Going to do P for practice. So P equals 3. 3, 6, 9, 12. So Mariana has practiced 3 hours. It then says over here, Rian practiced 2 times as long as Mariana. So 2 times as long means 2 boxes. And we already know each box is 3. So how long did she practice? Well, she practiced for 6 hours. Now, our next question, though, isn't actually asking how long each one practiced. It says, how does the time Bella practice compared to the time Rion practiced? Well, we see 12 is twice as big. So 12 is twice as big as Rion. So that's what we'd write down. 12 hours is 2 times as long as 6 hours. We could have also substituted the names and put Velma practiced 12 hours, which is twice as long as Rion practiced for 6 hours. All right, good job, guys.